from a hot and humid Providence in the home of the Brown Bears, the Capital City Classic, as the Brown Bears play host to their visitors from the Sun Belt Conference, the Panthers of Georgia State. And the sun is going down here on Stevenson-Pinsent Field alongside Mike Mancuso. I'm Mike Rubin, and it's a steamy one here in Providence. The humidity, the dew points in the 70s. Game time temperatures still in the upper 80s, if not 90. So conditioning is going to be a factor as the Brown Bears look to continue their winning ways. 1-0 on the season, taking on this very high-powered Georgia State squad. And that's where it started and ended when I talked to Pat Laughlin earlier this week, Mike. Boy, can this Georgia State team fill the back of the goal. They are scoring and scoring in bunches.
Yeah, they've played in 4 games so far, averaging 2.75 per contest. Hans Burmeister has already recorded 2 hat tricks on the season, the talented striker for the Panthers. And of course, the Bears having played only the 1 game, a 1-0 victory last weekend. And fortunately for them, I think it was good that they had a full week to prepare because they have quite the 2 games coming up this weekend. First tonight, Georgia State, and of course, SMU looming on Sunday.
SMU's playing across town at Providence College as we speak right now. But again, we look at this Brown squad. Old, if you will, some experience in some places, and very young in others, particularly, Mike, up the middle. And talking to Pat Laughlin this week, that's where the Bears are going to have to be strong. This Georgia State squad, we talked about their firepower. They score a lot of goals, but it's because of the style they employ. And that means guys like Justin O'Brien, that means guys like Jack Hagstrom, that means guys like Louis Zingas, that means guys like Jackson Goebel have to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a completely different game than what we saw last weekend in the opener. I mean, the other team only recorded, but the Bulldogs only recorded 1 shot on goal. I have a feeling we're going to see a few more tonight as this Georgia State team really packs a lot of offensive punch. They like to play high attack, high up-tempo style. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for that back line to really stay settled, but hopefully they can get it done. You know, we saw some great work out of Jackson Goebel, one of the wingbacks, and as you mentioned, Justin O'Brien seeing a lot of time in that opener as well. But it all really comes down to Hagstrom in the middle and how he can control that back line. He's, I think, going to be perhaps the biggest key for the Bears defensively today.
Meanwhile, we've seen over the years that teams that press and press and press sometimes leave themselves exposed to the counter. The Bears showed an ability to get into the attacking third, be creative, but only manage the single goal, that coming from the foot of Nate Pomeroy.
Yeah, and obviously Nate Pomeroy is someone who really stood out, I think, on film, and if Georgia State got to see any of that Bryant game the other day, they're going to have noticed Nate Pomeroy. I think this game is going to present opportunities for people like Quinn English and perhaps Tyler Long as well. Some speedy guys, some guys that are very adept at using their skills on the counterattack. So if the Bears can kind of get them involved in transition, should be able to create some offensive opportunities.
We mentioned the conditions. Last year, the Bears and the Panthers played in very similar conditions down south. Well, that's just another day at the park for Georgia State. This is sort of how things are down in the state of Georgia quite frequently. Hot, muggy. So conditions maybe not going to be as big of an issue for the Atlanta-homed Panthers as much as they could be for the Bears. And where the Bears are still trying to sort out their different patterns and combinations, I would expect us to see perhaps 17, 18 guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with these kind of conditions out here, the humidity, guys are going to have to stay hydrated, and Coach Laughlin's going to have to rotate as many guys in, especially in the first half. And hopefully the Bears put themselves in a position where they can afford to substitute, as their depth is still being worked on at this point in the season.
Well, the other piece that you and I have noticed over the years is Georgia State has a very international flair. In fact, Coach Laughlin compared it to Boston University. For those of you who are local soccer fans, you know that BU typically has 6, 7 different international players. Well, half of Georgia State's roster hails from another country, and sometimes that creates frustration on the field. According to Coach Laughlin, this team enjoys the style they play, but it's something to watch.
Yeah, 13 of the 25 players on the Panthers squad hail from countries other than the United States. 9 from England, 2 Germans, 1 Jamaican, and 1 from Lebanon.
It's quite the roster and quite the challenge ahead for the Brown Bears when we return. The second game of the season, opening round of the Capital City Classic, first half call, and the starting lineups when we return to Stevenson-Pinsent after this here on the Ivy League Digital Network. We welcome you back here to a hot and humid Providence, Rhode Island, the campus of Brown University and Stevenson-Pinsent Field alongside Mike Mancuso. I'm Mike Rubin. Great to have you on board with us. The Brown Bears 1-0. The Georgia State Panthers 3-1. And let's take a look at the starters for Brett Cerency's Panthers, Mike. Starting in goal, the junior out of Grozimum, Germany, Yannick Horn.
Yep, 10 field players in front of Yannick Horn today include Liam Fitzsimmons, Nick Hague, Amiri Abraham, Tristan Trevino, Casey Schultes, Kwaku Adu-Boahin, Lucas Joyner, Max Hemmings, Alex Summerfield, and Hans Burmeister, who leads the team in scoring 6 goals, 1 assist already on this young season, was a first-team All-Sunbelt performer a year ago.
For the Bears, getting the start in goal, Eric Hansen, as we kick the ball and are underway. Let's give you the starters for Brown. Mike, in front of Eric Hansen.
Yep, same starters we had last week against Bryant. Jack Hagstrom, Jackson Goebel, Tyler Long, Quinn English, Nate Pomeroy, Rodrigo, Nico Lozado, James Mile, Justin O'Brien, and Louis Zingas round out the starting 11 for head coach Pat Laughlin in his 7th season.
Pomeroy the goal, Lozada the helper last week in the victory over the Bryant Bulldogs. Georgia State wearing the road blues, the Royal Blues, with white numerals, white trim. Nice of them to think of us when they designed them, because those numbers are easy to pick out on both the back and the front. The Bears in the home brown and white checkered jerseys with brown trunks and white trim. Ball played out to center, a drive up and over the top as it was turned by Casey Schultes, and Georgia State showing right away, Mike, they're not going to be particularly conservative when it comes to the attacking third.
They're not afraid to pull the trigger at all, Mike, as we've seen them just put on quite a few shots on goal so far this season. Already 23 shots on goal to speak of in their first 4 games. 54 overall shots, Mike. So these guys are not afraid to try to pepper those netminders and to do it early. However, they have been mostly a second-half team. 9 of their 11 goals so far this season have come in the second half.
3 victories in a row for Georgia State after losing their season opener at Mercer. They won 3 in a row at home, beating Memphis 4-1, Lipscomb 4-1, and then Central Arkansas earlier this week 3-1. Of course, they will visit Providence College on Sunday before returning home for Presbyterian. As the ball enters the box, the turn, the shot, and the score! Didn't take long for Georgia State as Burmeister gets on the board quickly. Just a minute 48 in, and Georgia State has the lead.
Well, Mike, we talked about Burmeister in the open, how dangerous he can be. His 7th goal now of the year, and that one took less than just 2 minutes. Bears caught a little bit on their heels. Not what you want to see if you're Coach Laughlin and the Bears coaching staff, especially here at home as you try to protect this house. Great start for the Panthers, though.
Looking at the reaction of Louis Zingas on that far flank, almost like he knows there was a mistake made in coverage.
Well, I mean, if there's one guy you can't really let free at all, it's Burmeister. I mean, the guy's got 7 goals now on the season, this just being the 5th game.
Amir Abraham, the turn comes back for Max Hemmings, the sophomore out of Wokingham, England. Cuts back, great ball work around Lozada, centers one-touch Hague for Abraham. Cuts back, Mile can't get there, and it'll be knocked upfield. Here comes Hansen well out of the box, and he will let it run for a goal kick. And Mike, a minute 48 in. Bears seem a little bit, I'm not sure if it's flat, but certainly not as, you use the word deliberate as they did in the first 5 minutes against Bryant, for sure.
Yeah, they definitely came out with more fire in the opening 15 minutes of that game against Bryant last weekend, and certainly seemed just a little bit flat here, but hopefully they could find a little bit of a spark, because this Georgia State team has definitely come to play here early on.
Lozada for Goebel on the left side. He'll send it upfield over the head of Pomeroy. Tracking back is Fitzsimmons, a sophomore out of Liverpool wearing a captain's strap at center back. Knocked it away. O'Brien for Zingas, and now Mile. He'll knock it upfield, looking for English, intercepted on the far side, and turned back out of bounds. It'll be a Broward throw, last touched by Burmeister, who had his 7th goal of the season on the first shot of this game for either side. On the flank comes English, works on the end line, cuts it in front for Tyler Long, but off his line. Making the dive was Yannick Horn, but the Bears trying to counter, Mike.
Yeah, not a bad idea that time, trying to send it into the mixer. Long making a good run. That ball a little bit too deep, though. Fairly easy catch for Yannick Horn, the big 6'1 German.
50-50 ball, one in the air by O'Brien, headed through by Haig on the second, and off for English as the ball deflects to Zingas. He'll shield and let it run out of bounds as Kwaku Adu had to watch. And we mentioned the Georgia State squad with a lot of firepower, but not afraid to work using a lot of different personnel, and they will attack, according to Coach Laughlin. 7 men is what they're going to bring. They're going to bring 3 or 4 guys through the midfield and then 2 or 3 guys just behind them and hang back with typically 2 center backs and a stopper. I mean, they like to play a high-octane offense all the time. They are a very attack-first oriented type of team. It's a fun style to play.
Definitely fun style to play, fun style to watch, too. And for a lot of fans, we usually don't get to see this type of attacking style. A lot of opponents that we see the Bears play happen to play more defensive styles, including the Bears a lot of times. So it should be an interesting contrast in styles today and how the Bears are able to react and adjust as they're going to get a handball. As Casey Schultes trying to be a little bit too cheeky that time, but the referee having none of that handball nonsense.
Georgia State tracks back, and Jackson Goebel will take the restart in front of the Panther bench. Again, 1-0, second-minute goal for the Panthers. Goebel to restart. About 5 Bears looming near the top of the 18. Turn toward the 6. Horn hangs back. Up goes, I think it was Hagstrom, in fact, out to Pomeroy, and that's going to be deflected backwards. Horn coming hard off his line with a touch to the end line. Long puts him under, but a nice turn there for Max Hemmings. Great footwork out of the goaltender Horn.
Yeah, that was just some great composure and poise down there by the netminder Yannick Horn. Thought he was just going to simply touch it out of bounds. Was able to find an open man up the line and kind of got it out of harm's way in a more creative way that kept possession for the Panthers.
Horn listed at 6'1". Again, a native of Grosszimmern, Germany. Middle of the field. It'll be played to the flank for Long, who looks to turn, working against Lucas Joyner. And it deflects off of Amiri Abraham. It'll be a Browd throw. See if they bring over Quinn English, Mike. It's a lot of movement for English from that far side to keep going back and forth in the heat.
It is, but his fitness level seems to be pretty good early on this season. It's something that he is used to, not something new for him. However, the one thing the Bears got to be wary of, they keep sending Hagstrom up set pieces and these long throws, but just makes all the more pressure on the guys who are back, like Zingas and Goebel.
Here comes the counter. Schultes trying to get around Goebel. They're running shoulder for shoulder. Goebel a good step in front of him, and Mile will knock it away. Heady play there by Goebel. More importantly, no foul. Middle of the field, Rodrigo.
Yeah, and equally as good a run back, retreating defensively by Mile. I saw him hustling all the way back to make sure that Goebel had an option should he win that ball, and the Bears were able to clear it out of harm's way.
Hemmings fouled by English, who shakes his hand and says, my bad. We mentioned the international flair of this Georgia State squad. It also gives them a little bit of an age advantage. And one thing that you sometimes see from international players is they're sometimes a little older when they enroll. So you've got your sophomores who may be true sophomores that are 20 and 21 years old as opposed to 19 or 18. It is different.
Absolutely, and a different type of campus, as I know you were discussing earlier this week with me. And more of a commuter school, and sometimes that lends itself to an older type of player. And a nifty little cut that time from Horn, who was playing with fire.
As Pomeroy
trying to put him under.
And he'll have to play it out of bounds. Nice hustle there from Pomeroy to draw the throw. Quickly tossed in to the Browd co-captain. Looks to cut back with a touch. Rodrigo on the wing. The cutback for Zingas puts it across, and Horn goes up. And since surrendering the first goal, Mike, a very different look out of the Bears there. They seem to have regained that composure.
Yeah, they figured out how to kind of turn it up a notch or two from what we saw in the opening 2 minutes. And that's a good thing because sometimes an early goal could really deflate you and it could lead to a couple more early goals. But fortunately, the Bears seem to be a little bit more in their groove right now as they have had kind of the run of play over the last 5 minutes or so.
The comment Coach Laughlin made to us a few times last year was the Bears would surrender goals in those first 4 or 5 minutes. It takes a lot of energy to chase the game.
Yep.
Middle of the field, juggling back, Hagstrom knocks it up to where Abraham looks to settle and finds Hagstrom on the second touch. He'll away it out. Pomeroy there. Chest trap comes back and headed through for Max Hemmings, middle of the field. Turns for Abraham. He looks to cut back on Rodrigo. Looks to center. Nice ball for Hemmings. He'll be pressured by Nico Lozada. And all the way back for Lucas Joyner. Pushed ahead and turned by Burmeister. Collides with Mile, who plays it on the field. And Burmeister fouls him, doesn't like the call.
Well, it is a tough one for Burmeister. I got to agree a little bit with him, or at least I could see his point of view as Mile playing it while he was on the ground. I think that's what Burmeister was complaining about. But he had a little bit of a hand in keeping Mile on the ground with that forearm.
Hagstrom's going to take this restart just to the right of midfield and pushes it to the left flank for Goebel. Goebel looking up. Over the head of Rodrigo. Turned down by Nick Hague, who looks to switch over to the far side. Burmeister, and Mile knocks it out of bounds to slow the transition. A safe answer for the Brown back / midfielder. Tell you, one position I would not want to be playing today, Mike, is ball fetcher.
A lot of work for that. A
lot of work for the crew.
Good exercise, though.
I have nothing against exercise. Abraham able to keep it in. Tyler Long on the second. Looks back. Hagstrom turns, put under, and deflected out of bounds off the senior out of McDonough, Georgia, Casey Schultes. Yeah, Mike mentioned a different kind of campus, Georgia State in Atlanta, which, you know, as a commuter school for a lot of the players on that campus, a lot of the people in that general area, means that the international players are fortunate they can come over, live in a city, and a great city that is Atlanta, Georgia. They'll call a foul on the Bears coming out.
Yeah, tough one on Rodrigo, trying to establish position. The Georgia State player coming from behind him, but Rodrigo kind of fending him off too much with the arm that time.
About 10 and a half gone here. The goal for Burmeister of the Panthers came in the second minute 48 in to be exact. And nice pressure there by Mile. Forces Casey Schultes out of bounds. Thrown in for Pomeroy and then knocked up by Mile. Was looking, I think, for Long. Middle of the field, Rodrigo with a header. Turned down, Burmeister, middle of the pitch. Comes back to the right square for Schultes, who's looking to drop it back for Fitzsimmons. And they'll come all the way back for Joyner. He'll switch it over to that far flank. Haven't seen a lot build off the flank, except for a goal. Tristan Trevino on that far side continues to take his space. Check that, was Kwaku Adu. And a foul called on Browns, I think, O'Brien. And or check that, is Lozada.
Yeah, that's a tough one, you know. He had a solid stick there. Got his foot in front of the ball. Player kind of tripped over the ball as the stick, but referee deeming it illegal. And is going to give Georgia State a free kick in a very good spot. First look at the spray today as he'll mark off the 10 yards as well.
Well, the Bears holding the 18, as well they should. Nick Hague is offsides by about a mile if they kick it now, from this angle at least. And it's going to be played up and over the top by the Panthers.
Well, the Carolina Panthers could have used a kick like that right through the middle.
Couldn't they,
last
though?
night, but fortunately for the Bears here today, that one well high, out of harm's way.
Did you stay up for that? If you did, I'm impressed.
I stayed up until Denver took the lead, actually, and I was like, okay. I felt that they had the game covered at that point, and that was enough for me.
Middle of the field, there's Trevino to the right side for Abraham. A little touch there, it's a handball. Almost called it the wrong way, but clearly a handball there on the senior Schultes.
Yeah. And it was in an unnatural position, so an easy call for the referee. Even if it is considered unintentional, still have to blow the whistle. As Hansen will step up to take this free kick for the Bears.
A 19-game slate, 10 road games for Georgia State, 9 at home. But they only have 2 more home contests before they begin Sun Belt play, as it's knocked upfield. Second ball, Schultes out ahead for Burmeister. And he'll touch back. The 1-2 deflects off of Lozada, off to the flank, and turned back to Hague and off to Fitzsimmons. Has some room. Quinn English approaching him, but he'll switch fields over for Amiri Abraham. Little touch, nice look there for Casey Schultes on the go. And back for Abraham via Hemmings. Bears are going to settle back and force the Panthers back toward midfield, where Nick Hague will start it all the other way. Forcing the Bears to run around a lot here are the Panthers. It's been a good sequence where they've held the possession, and again, it'll touch back. Fitzsimmons back all the way at midfield. Surveys the scene and knocked up and over. I think it was off the head of Hagstrom. Little shield there by Rodrigo. Nice touch by Max Hemmings. Here comes Mile, and he'll send it for English on the flank, who keeps it alive on the far sideline. And knocked quickly out of bounds by Fitzsimmons, and the Bears are going to wait.
Yeah, good patience there by English once the ball went out of bounds. He was looking for that quick restart, but saw that didn't really have enough Bears up there with him. Wisely holds up as this one about even with the top of the 18 from that far side. Bears will take advantage, send some of the big boys up into the mixer.
In the 15th minute, up and over the top. The ball was knocked down. I think Horn was looking for a call. English resetting on the far side. He made an attempt at the ball and just missed it. It looked.
Well, there's a lot of pushing and shoving going on in front of Horn, and it looked like being tossed around a bit was Nico Lozada, who actually wound up with the ball on his foot. Of course, it's back to the goal, but not sure exactly what Horn was really kind of complaining about. It seemed it might have been his own guy that kind of dislodged the ball from him.
And generally speaking, Mike, you and I are sometimes, I'm going to use the word baffled by some of the things that are called on those long throws and corner kicks. Sometimes it's better when they just let them play.
Yeah.
The turn by Nico Lozada comes to Tyler Long on the left side. Ball kind of caught Long on the side of his foot. It allowed some closing there from Trevino, back for Goebel, and all the way back for Hagstrom.
Yeah, I had a couple players making some runs there that could have been in good attacking positions, in particular Lozada, who was calling for it. Finally gets it, and now outlets for Goebel.
Goebel looking to take Schultes, who almost ran him down. Touch to Long on the left side. Keeps it going. A nice look, but intercepted by Joyner. Midfield, good shield by the Bears, Lozada. And referee hot-footing over to make sure no ill effects for Schultes. And the coaching staff at Georgia State, Brett Surrency, the head coach, says, just wondered what the call is.
Yeah, Schultes seems to be one of those guys that's always kind of involved in these scrums. Seems like you want to almost equate him to like a little gnat. He's, a feisty guy out there, kind of just getting in the way, putting himself in harm's way at times. We've seen him take a couple of spills today. That time kind of running into that center field flag.
Good ball toward the penalty stripe. Knocked out. English goes up. Deflected away. Zingis with a touch. Still controls the ball. Working off to the right flank. Fighting off Burmeister, who'd come all the way back. And Burmeister did a good job of forcing Zingis out of bounds.
Yeah, he was right at that edge of getting called for a foul was Burmeister. Kind of a mini jersey tug, a little bit of an arm in the back, and caused Zingis to misplay it out of bounds.
Burmeister listed at 5'10". That might be...
It's generous.
It's generous. Plays bigger than that. Already with a goal in this 1-7 for Burmeister. The Sun Belt Conference, of course, not one we see a whole heck of a lot up here. But funny, they have a couple of teams that Brown's seen over the years. I mean, we've seen Hartwick because they're up in Central New York, and they're now in the Sun Belt Conference. So it's kind of an odd league that spans the East Coast at this point.
Well, with all the strange conference realignments over the past 5 to 7 years, you get some pretty strange-looking conferences. Just wait till you see Sunday. SMU comes out of the American Athletic Conference.
It's a great soccer conference.
They are certainly racking up some frequent flyer miles just for their conference schedules.
You got SMU, and oddly enough, a couple of the SEC schools that don't, because the SEC does not sponsor soccer, like South Carolina
right, for men's soccer,
and Kentucky, they play in the American.
And you even got teams like UConn.
Yeah.
It's a strange conference, especially for soccer.
I think West Virginia's in there too. I mean, it's West Virginia is it's headed to Hanson. Used to, of course, be in the old Big East. Now they're in the Big 12, which is also a league that doesn't sponsor men's soccer.
Yeah, strange.
Very. They weren't thinking of that when they realigned. The Big East was. That is a soccer power conference, in fact, with the likes of Creighton and Marquette and Providence College. St. John's. I mean, those are some soccer heavyweights.
Traditional powers and current powers too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Good men's programs over there.
Back towards center. Haven't called the name of Kwaku Adu a lot. Turned to the near side. Long was a touch out of position, but able to regain it on the challenge. Nicely done. Ahead for Lozada. He'll go back for Goebel, and he'll send the long ball up toward Pomeroy, who's there. Gets a head on it to the near side. Abrahams is there. Pomeroy, middle of the field. Looks out to the right. Has Zingis making a run, and just an eyelash ahead of him.
Yeah, a couple too many touches there by Pomeroy as he was trying to dance around Liam Fitzsimmons. Good pressure out of this Panther defensive line, though. They're not giving really an inch for the Bears to work with once they advance into the offensive third.
This game, traditionally the first match of the home season for Brown Athletics, as it comes right after classes resumed earlier this week. And over the years, this tournament, which has had some different incarnations over the years, has always brought some pretty good opponents here to College Hill. The likes of SMU was here a few years back. In fact, the Bears' only victory over Southern Methodist. They only played them twice, but it was a 1-0 victory in a lightning delayed game a few years ago here. Turned to the near side. Nice work by Schultes, and he did step out. Mix on Rodrigo off.
That comes about midway through this first half, and that's usually the general time we start seeing a couple of reserves come into the match.
And this is one of those positions, Mike, that central midfield position. The Bears lost Tariq Akil. They lost Jack Gorab. James Miles still in the mix, obviously, but CJ Mix was a flank player last year, right. And Rodrigo's a freshman, so you're really, Nico Lozada did not play in the interior last year, so this is where you're looking for a combination to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, and again, even though there are a lot of returning players for the Bears, a lot of same faces but in new places across the field, so very few players holding the same positions that they held last year, and that goes to show some of the versatility of these guys that Coach Laughlin's been able to recruit, that you could kind of plug and play them in different spots, but also, it was a little bit difficult when you're almost starting from scratch in certain instances here.
The throw-in, English had thought about it. He dropped it for Zingis, who tosses for Pomeroy on that far side. Good look for Mix, and now ahead. English at the end line, crosses it in front. Lozada, the score! What a combination for the Bears! English for Lozada, and the Bears have tied the game at 1.
Oh, an absolutely brilliant finish from Nico Lozada. Perfectly timed run on the outside by English. And at the almost exact midpoint of the game, the Bears even things up 1-1 with the visiting Panthers.
Boy, Mike, I was about to say some confusion over there on the throw-in, but it started really with English looking around and then making something out of nothing.
Yeah, and it was just a perfectly timed ball into the 18. Lozada in stride, able to knock it in, and really no chance there for Yannick Horn, who gives up another goal this season, his 5th of the year.
And Yannick Horn put his hand up, Mike, looking for offside. There's no offsides on the throw. It was very well executed, smart play from Quinn English.
And I think he even had it timed perfectly anyway. I mean, that was just a brilliantly timed run by English. Able to slip past the defender.
Tyler Long putting it under on the near side. Joyner, in fact, played it out of bounds, and a nice play by Long. Up steps Goebel, and the Bears will look and wait for English.
Look a little bit disorganized right now. Like, that one seemed to really catch them by surprise. They look a little bit shaken. Perhaps the Bears could take advantage of that right now and sneak another one in.
Inside 22 minutes, Mike. Those next 5 are crucial. It's a great throw. Headed down and just off the iron. I think it was Pomeroy. Or was it Hagstrom?
It was Hagstrom. Hagstrom always the primary target, getting up involved again. And English able to find them, as I'm sure they've worked on that one a couple of times in practice over the years. But, again, that was a good opportunity for the Bears to take a lead. However, Hagstrom's glancing header just going a little bit wide of that far post.
Well, we talk about chasing the game. The Bears only had to chase really for about 20 minutes or so, and it didn't seem like they were chasing all that long as Horn put under there by English. The turn to the near side, set up field, turned by Amiri Abrahams, and he plays it out of bounds off of Goebel, says the center referee.
Yeah, that's from up here pretty clear that was off of the Georgia State player Abraham.
Pat Laughlin, unfazed, just starts to tell his players to no letdowns at this point as the ball's played ahead. Hagstrom is Hansen commanding the box.
One thing that we really saw in the Bryant game was their poise and their mental fortitude, Mike, when calls weren't being made or calls going against them, the Bears never really lost their heads. We might have up here, but the Bears on the field.
Yeah, we were pretty good last week. We weren't at our Ivy League midseason form, that's for sure. Ball's played up ahead. O'Brien tracking it down. Bouncing touch. Hansen aways it. The pressure coming. Middle of the field. Pomeroy looking for long. Touched back to the flank for Amiri Abraham. He'll turn to the right and takes his space. Working left to right for the blue and white clad Panthers. Cuts back as Long. Transition back. Hemmings, middle of the field. A little touch for Schultes and back to Abraham ahead for Hemmings. He'll be marked there by Mile. Not a bad idea. Looking for Schultes at the end line. Fake past Goebbels. Tough look and deflected by Hagstrom, who bails him out.
Yeah, Schultes, pretty nice fake that time to get around Goebel, the freshman. But fortunately, couldn't hit pay dirt there at the end of the play.
Schultes, nice shield, and that's a foul. Hagstrom a little slow getting up, but seems to be all right.
And also selling that one pretty well.
Yeah.
Schultes was on the ground about 4 seconds before Hagstrom got close, but kind of that elevated leg of Schultes that kind of swung up at the last second. That's what drew the call from the official.
So our score 1-1, inside 19 and a half to play. From Stevenson-Pinson's Field, alongside Mike Mancuso, I'm Mike Rubin for our entire outstanding Ivy League Digital Network team. Great to have you on board with us as we try to stay hydrated up here on a hot night from Providence, Rhode Island. Nice ball, making the run. Burmeister slowed up a little bit by Hagstrom. Looks to cut back on O'Brien. The play for Schultes. Looks to cross. Good ball. And just glancing over the head of Kwaku Adu. And it'll run for a throw-in in a tough spot for the Bears, who will bring off the bench Will Cross, the fifth-year senior out of Nashville, Tennessee. Off comes Nate Pomeroy. Abraham, who's made a ton of runs for Georgia State, working hard. He'll be replaced by Solomon Lorenzano, the redshirt junior out of Peachtree City, Georgia.
Yeah, Abraham looking just a bit gassed out there after making all those runs. And, of course, good minutes out of Pomeroy. And we talked about fitness being a key for this game, staying hydrated a key, and the fact that the Bears are able to get some reserves in a little bit earlier maybe than usual for guys like Pomeroy, who I think played the whole first half against Bryant.
Got to wonder what the main agricultural crop of Peachtree City is. I'm not that...
Squash, right?
Probably squash, yeah. Cranberries, right? To the near side, and now switched back to the middle of the field. It comes to Joyner, splits a couple of Bears, touched around Lozada, who had the Brown goal. Nice touch again for Joyner, who's all the way up. I mean, really only two guys back for Georgia State in that sequence. Here's Adu, looks to cross, a good ball, the touch, and O'Brien for Quinn English. It'll be deflected off of the Bears.
Well, fortunately that time Trevino had a very poor touch inside the 18 as he was trying to set up, might have been Burmeister, for a shot. Bears able to clear it out, but then right back the other way. Throw goes for the Panthers. And they must have a long throw as well as Fitzsimmons setting up to chuck this one into the mixer.
A 5'6" sophomore from Liverpool, England, not New York. There it is. The bomb comes toward the penalty stripe, glanced off ahead. Thought Trevino on the second ball might have been flagged offside. Here's Summerfield back for Joyner. Joyner for Summerfield, and they'll touch ahead. Here comes Will Cross, and knocked upfield. Touched down by Adu, and they're going to get a ticky-tack foul on O'Brien. Not much there, but they'll call it with a 16 and a half, a restart for Georgia State, and they're bringing up some of their big boys, so we'll see what they offer here on this free kick from about 40. It's chipped up, looks like it's sailing, and again, some confusion. Bears making a change as Matthew Chow checks in for, it looks like, Tyler Long. And as they make that change, we'll tell you to reminder that you are watching the Ivy League Digital Network, now available via Apple TV and Roku.
So again, good minutes there out of Tyler Long, trying to make things happen in the attacking third. But nice that Coach Laughlin could bring in guys like Will Cross and Matt Chow into the match now. past the halfway point of this first half, maybe mix it up a little bit offensively.
Goebel, second ball, third ball, Mix settles, and right out of the backside came Burmeister. Boy, I like how he plays.
Yeah,
he is a good player.
He's a special talent.
Yeah, Chow shrugs aside Schultes, who seems to be okay.
Yeah, again, you could tell he's just that guy for this Panthers team.
Guys that, when they're wearing the brown and white, we really admire, and when they don't, well, they get under our skin too. Middle of the pitch, here's Nick Hague. I can't imagine you were that kind of player, were you?
No.
No, you didn't seem the type.
Was not into the theatrics.
No, nor I. Mile fights past a couple of players, and they're going to get a foul as sticking him was Nick Hague.
Miles showing good strength to stay with that one, working his way through the center of the field.
That's one thing we've noticed out of Mile this year. Last year he was slowed a little bit by injury. His 50-50 challenge strength is in another level than it was the last time we really saw him play on a regular basis as a first year.
Right, and that was, one of the things that was a huge hit for the Bears
Ooh.
last year.
Ooh, they
not having Mile available. Yeah, I mean, that was a push from behind,
Yep.
and,
They've called that.
The referee maybe sensing that things getting a little chippy, saying, all right, I'm not going to tolerate any of this. And, again, as long as he's consistent on both sides of the ball and the players know what they can and can't get away with.
So it'll be Chow with a two-player wall in front of him, barks out an order, curls one toward the penalty stripe, it deflects to the far wing. Hagstrom trying to chase it down, looks to cut back, puts it across. Cross with a head to it, and they'll call him.
Yeah, see, that's a little weak there. That's just Cross getting whistled for being stronger than Fitzsimmons in the air. That's a tough one for the Bears.
So Mike Mancuso respectfully dissents. Now that's something I can picture you doing on the field every now and then.
I was known for a couple of, come on, sir.
You called him sir. You were nicer than me.
Or Mr. Referee.
Mr. I say I was a
referee.
Come on, Ralph.
Sir, please.
Mix hasn't had too many touches since entering the match. Deflects out to Goebel on the left side. He looks up, serves it up, looking for English, and they call him offside. Might have been curling in from behind Liam Fitzsimmons, who absolutely made that call.
Yeah, that was curious. Again, I wasn't focused on English at the exact moment the ball was struck, but it seemed like two defenders were back holding that line defensively for the Panthers.
Nice play there by O'Brien. Lifts it ahead for Lozada off the backside, unfortunately, of English. Turn for Adu on that far flank and reset.
And you mentioned O'Brien, Mike, a couple seconds ago. He's a guy that looks a little bit more confident out there today. Seemed to be a little bit jittery making his first start against Bryant on Friday night, but here today certainly seems a little bit more confident and stronger in that central back position.
50-50 ball set up under it did Hagstrom. Heads it toward midfield. Turned by Hague. Looks to the flank for Lorenzano. He works against Chow. And a nice challenge by Mile, but now it's getting a little silly.
Well, Mile went with a two-hand shove. That's going to be...
Yep, Bears going to be a little bit more mindful of...
Yeah, when you could see both arms come towards your body and then extend out.
The Bears lobbying, saying the ball was moving when it was played on the restart. They might have had a case, but nonetheless, here's Trevino. Cross on his horse, and it's knocked upfield by Summerfield, and they're going to get Cross.
And now that's just crazy. I mean, he's challenging for the ball.
Cross.
I don't understand. I mean, the other player kicked and wound up kicking Cross. It wasn't like he came in spikes high or anything.
No.
I mean, that's tough for Alex Summerfield, but I don't see the infraction there. Are you not allowed to challenge head on? It wasn't like Cross came in swinging at him,
We don't have a ref cam out there. Do we have the referee mic'd up? No? No, I'm told we don't. Otherwise, we'd be able to wirelessly communicate and find out what the call was, but not today. Maybe the next game. Sorry, Georgia State fans. Hagstrom will away it.
Hey, Burmeister's coming in hard, as Cross did, but...
We are now inside 11 minutes here from Stevens and Pinson. It's a 1-1 match. There's Jason Pisek up off the bench. The Panthers with Rashid Alarape. Stone Mountain, Georgia product. Chow turns through the midfield, has English on the flank, distributes to him, has Lozada making the run. English with Cross on the far flank, gives it to Cross, and nicely read there by Hemmings.
Yeah, just waited a little bit too long to make a decision that time, did English, and now we get the substitutes checking in. As you mentioned, Pisak seeing his first action of the season is going to give Jackson Goebel a bit of a rest, and Rashid Alarape out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, preseason all Sun Belt player, spent some of the summer working out with the Nigerian under-23 team. Certainly a talent that Coach Surency has the luxury of bringing in off the bench.
And that's, I think, where your scouting report pays off. I think this is where, Zingis with a lot of experience playing on the flank, you want fresh legs from Pisak. No offense to Goebel or his conditioning, but you want fresh legs out there.
In a game, and not just like today, but in the conditions that we're seeing today. Again, this humidity and the heat, it is hot and sticky here in Providence.
Typically at this hour we see the temperature go down.
Into the 60s.
Not today.
Yeah.
Not today.
Yeah, today.
Even the 70s. It hasn't dropped at all since this game started.
It's still probably in the low to mid 80s.
Nicely played there by Zingis off of Alarape. Is that how we're going to say it? With our
Alarape?
Alarape, that's
Either
how
way,
we'll go.
Alarape.
I don't want to, as stepping through came English.
We did not.
Yeah, we don't want to.
We were not able to track down a pronunciation guide for Georgia State.
So we mean him.
I don't think they traveled in SID. So we are doing
our
the best we can.
And we mean him. No offense, of course. Although I must say, not the hardest squad we've seen come up here without a pronunciation guide. So I don't necessarily cast aspersions at the Georgia State folks. Nice step by Pisak, and then Chow forces Lorenzano back for Joyner, who will knock it upfield. Kept alive by Pisak, who jostles with Schultes, fights him off, and good work out of Pisak to play it ahead. Lozada for Chow, and it's off the referee, and knocked over was Hemmings. He was looking for the call.
I don't know what call he was looking for. I think he was just stunned that the ball came back at him as he figured, I played it up the field, and now it's behind me.
Lorenzano for Burmeister. Nice step there by Zingis. By Pisak. Forces Burmeister out of bounds for a Browd throw, and that's a smart play there by Pisak to just slow it down.
Yeah. Catch your breath. He just came in 2 minutes ago and has been running like a maniac out there chasing Schultes around.
Under 8 to play here in half number 1. Big throw from Pisak, touched by Cross, out to Chow, and now Lozada, who has the Brown goal. Nice challenge, sliding through came Haig. And the Panthers reset to Summerfield, middle of the back line. Also a first year, so both teams with some less than experienced, at least in terms of their college play, guys playing along the back line. Here's Schultes, lots of room. Distributes to Lorenzano. He'll be marked up there by Pisak. Ahead, Schultes working against Mayo for Lorenzano on the right flank. Centers it. Good look. Another touch. Schultes back out to Lorenzano on the right side. Chips it toward the penalty stripe. Zingis didn't get a lot on the way. Get Schultes the touch to that far side. That's sent back toward center, and the Bears are going to watch. Hansen will come off his line and give it a touch back toward the interior of the area. Bears getting a couple of guys up off the bench for these final minutes of the first half. Pisak, a good ball. Tracking is Cross, and a nice touch. Dangerous place to play it to Horn, who sends it out toward midfield. Pisak between a couple of Panthers, unfortunately knocked it out of bounds. Did catch the 50-50 ball, but quickly, that was a bad throw.
Terrible throw.
That wasn't even close. Unless the rules changed. Granted, they've been allowing them to.
The only rule that changed was that you have to be 2 yards off the sideline on throws now.
Schultes cutting toward the end line. Got a heel on it. Pisak there. Schultes aways it. Cross has a man on his back, Joyner. Little touch from Mile. He'll go all the way back to space for Hansen.
But again, good pressure there out of Lucas Joyner. Forcing Cross all the way back. Not giving him any opportunity to turn on the ball.
Inside 6 to play here in the first half. There's Eric Sugarman and Joseph Lee ready to go at midfield as CJ Mix had it headed behind him. Nice strong win from Georgia State in the midfield by Haig, who has been strong. Nice step there by Hagstrom. Sets it out of bounds, or do we have a whistle on Burmeister, I think. I can't sub.
No.
I can't sub. It's a restart.
Yeah, Table, I think, thought it was going to be a throw, but
I agree.
a little bit of the delayed call that time.
So here's Hagstrom, bottom of the kickoff circle. Right to left come the Bears with about 5 left. Pisek left side. Looks up. Tough touch. Intercepted by Hemmings, who will work left to right for the blue and white. Out across midfield. The turn. Almost touched off the hand by Haig. He'll distribute left side for Adu. He's picked up by Zingis and Mix. A little touch for Alarape, and he'll go all the way back for Hemmings, who's looking to distribute to the right side. Wide open there is Lorenzano. Again, Pisek picks him up. He looks to take toward the end line. Puts it across right on the hands of Hansen, who is watching it well.
Hansen getting a good read on that one with minimal pressure coming at him. As Pisek able to hold up Lorenzano just enough.
And I saw head assistant coach Trevor Banks immediately after the ball came to Hansen's hands as he mishits the punt. Hands up, slow things down.
Yeah.
His midfielders had really been running around quite a bit, as shoulder to shoulder coming away with it on that far side is going to be the Bears on a throw, as O'Brien able to touch it off Alarape, and now the Bears getting that change. The change is going to be Lozada off. Good minutes for him, a lot of minutes in the midfield for Lozada and English. They play 46 midfield minutes in this weather. Sugarman and Lee come off.
Yeah, and those guys are the guys that hooked up for the goal as well. The assist going to English, the goal from Lozada on a brilliant finish. The one touch on the volley into the corner. And again, both coaches, I think, trying to go as deep as they can onto the bench, especially here before the half. Keep those fresh legs out there, keep the hydrated guys out there, as it is hot.
Knocked by Hagstrom. Mix is called for something.
I mean, he mistimed his jump, but I didn't see a foul there.
Maybe he had his arm somewhere.
No,
I don't know.
no.
From their angle?
Kind
I
of.
don't know. Lorenzano, a nice turn to get around Pisek. It comes in front. Good look. And here came Adu, but I want to say that Zingas had him timed. That's what we'll guess. Zingas outlets out of bounds. Georgia State with the throw with inside 3 to play. And, Mike, really, Georgia State.
Yeah, last 10 minutes have been predominantly in the Bears' end here.
And Hagstrom knocked down there by Alarape, who's going to get a little talking to. But I was about to say, Georgia State, I mean, we talked about the conditions. We thought we'd see 16, 17 guys aside. Not so.
Well, we've seen them go fairly deep, though. The Bears have made at least...
The Bears have.
Right.
I think for Georgia State, we've seen Lorenzano and Alarape, and I think that might be it.
Well, as you mentioned, though, the conditions down in Atlanta, very
Exactly.
similar to this a lot of the year. Certainly more than it is up here in Providence. These guys also a little bit deeper into their season, this being the 5th game for the Panthers, just the 2nd for the Bears, and you know that their training camp probably opened up 2 weeks or so before the Bears were able to touch a ball as a team.
Here's Pisek and Hagstrom with inside 2 to play in a 1-1 game. Goals for Burmeister and Lozada, respectively, of Georgia State and the Brown Bears. Out of bounds, is unable to track it down, was Burmeister. Yeah, a lot of runs from Georgia State and the first maybe 10 minutes of the game, and certainly these last 10. And I'd say the middle was almost controlled by the Bears. We'll bring Zingas up to take this throw. Lee in the middle, looming. As it's played for Sugarman, a nice turn. Cuts back on Adu, looking to draw perhaps a corner kick, able to cut through. Nice touch by Fitzsimmons, and they're going to get...
I mean, Fitzsimmons was airborne before he was even close to Sugarman that time. He was selling it before the ball was even there, and the ref fully buying it. Cheeky move from the back out of Liverpool.
The restart from Horn from deep in his own end. Here comes Alarape. Bears got to be careful. Don't want to give one up here. Alarape the drive and in on Hansen. It hit a foot. I think a foot of one of the Bears.
No, I think he just didn't get a good full strike on it. Ball was kind of bouncing a little bit there in the middle of the field, and his eyes kind of widened a little bit.
Lee got a hug from Hemmings. Touches back. Pisek working ahead for Cross. Ball moved towards center for Mix and knocked out. Headed through, big header by O'Brien. Hagstrom will knock it away, and that'll take us into the break. So, a goal surrendered by the Bears in the first couple, and then they answer about 20 minutes later from the foot of Nico Lozada, the helper for Quinn English. Halftime report when we return to Stevenson Pin Cinch. We'll take a look around at the Ivy League and then take a look a little bit deeper at this one with the score 1-1. We'll step aside halftime when we return of a 1-1 game here on the Ivy League Digital Network. Score here is 1-1. Last year, Brown faced off against Georgia State down south, the game that the Panthers emerged with a 3-1 victory. And, Coach Laughlin said last year it was a team that, a Georgia State team that a couple years ago found themselves in the national tournament, that the Bears really felt was going to be an RPI booster, and then unfortunately they had a tough snag in the second half of their year last year and ended up finishing 9-8 despite winning 5 Sun Belt Conference games. Now the Sun Belt, of course, is a 9-team league, so things have changed. Let's take a look at those halftime numbers.
Yeah, for a game that's been as entertaining as it has, not a whole heck of a lot of stats to look at. Overall shots, the Panthers with a 5-3 advantage. Shots on goal, 3-1 for the Panthers. 2 saves credited to Eric Hansen of the Bears. Yannick Horn yet to record a save in this one. 0 corner kicks for each team. The Bears were offsides once. Panthers were not offsides at all in that first half. Fouls even at 9 apiece. No cards to speak of. Only goal so far for the Panthers came from Hans Burmeister, his 7th of the season. That came in the 2nd minute. Only goal of the game for the Bears came from Nico Lozada. That one in the 23rd minute, his first of the year.
Second half keys, Mike, I think have to start with a 45-minute effort for the Bears. They can't come out and give Georgia State a couple of flat minutes to start.
No, I mean, you cannot have the kind of start you started the game with, and that was just completely flat in the opening minutes. Got to come out right from the opening whistle and, again, try to put a little bit more pressure on that Georgia State back line. They have had a couple issues sometimes on clearances. And Yannick Horn's been a little bit shaky at times, too. Maybe tries to be a little bit too cute with the ball back there as the last line of defense in between the pipes. And, of course, just make sure if you're the coaching staff that you guys are well hydrated and ready to roll, because this one could get a little bit dicey down the stretch. Fitness will be a factor.
So here we go, folks, with the score 1-1. They'll take the pitch here at Stevenson Pin Cinch. The Panthers in the blue and white, the Brown Bears in the the home brown with the white checks and some changes, Mike. Looks like Nico Lozada, who only got a few minutes of rest, he's back on, as is Nate Pomeroy. Lee starts the second half along with C.J. Mix in the midfield, which means James Miles getting a break.
Right.
And here comes Georgia State right off the bat.
Yeah, Will Cross still out there for the Bears as well.
Ball centered, Mix knocks it away out to the flank. And turned back towards center. A nice touch, and here come the Bears in transition. Left to right, it's played out to the flank. Pomeroy working through center. Looks towards the middle, drives the shot, and just was able to turn his way back toward the goal.
Nice job by Pomeroy. Good run up the middle, taking the space that was available to him. Nice cutback on Nick Haig. Haig thought he had some support behind him, but no one there. That allowed Pomeroy to fire the shot. Unfortunately, though, for the Bears, that one whistling wide of everything.
So here we go. Back the other way, and it's funny, I've noticed it a couple times. Georgia State, they just want to play. They don't care if that ball stopped. It might still be rolling. They're playing.
Well, like we talked about at the beginning of the game, they play high tempo all the time. Another well-sold play there. Was that Burmeister? Oh, no, that was Hemmings going airborne. These Englishmen certainly know how to work that dive, if you will. Theatrics, but official when he's that far away certainly looks worse to him than it actually is.
Far wing, is that Pisek starting the second half, Mike, or is that Goebel? They have a similar frame.
No, Goebel's back. It's got a little bit lighter hair than Pisek.
Middle of the field. Nice cutback by Kwaku Adu. And seeing his speed, Mike, in the first half, it's almost like he's a guy they want to get more involved.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems that they're trying to find different ways to get him the ball, but he's gotten a little bit lost tonight in the midfield. And in fact, you probably have to credit players like Mayall, Lee, and also Lozada, who have done some good job retreating back. Pomeroy got taken out by the turf monster that time and just lost his footing.
Mike, the other point, I think, for the Bears is they continue to look for different combinations. Certainly with Cross and Pomeroy together, you have your most experienced guys up top. Again, Tyler Long, a guy who is experienced in some ways, but didn't play a lot last year due to injury as it comes back through center for Trevino. A touch back for Hemmings, unloads a shot, and Hansen in the right place.
Yeah, that's one of those shots that I'm sure the coaching staff for Georgia State talked about the half. Let's try to test this guy. We've only put a couple of shots on frame in that first half. Let's make him earn it between the pipes there. And that one from distance, that was at least 21, 22 yards out from Hemmings, but never a bad idea to test a netminder, especially early in a half.
Second ball off Pomeroy, Lee, and then Mix. Ahead for Lozada. Has his man making a run off the left side, turns it back in front, a good look for Mix. And we're gonna get a foul call in a very good spot if you're a Brown fan. It's going down on that far wing was Lozada.
Yeah, Lozada was trying to break free, seemed to be held up. I believe, was it there on the far side? I can't see on the far side of the wall, but either way, I was kind of tracking the ball as it was going out of bounds, saw the two players kind of collide. I think it was actually Rashid Alarape.
I think it was Alarape. So a restart for the Bears at a good spot. They have 4 or 5 Brown jerseys looming around the interior of the box. Here's the strike, a good look off the heel of Cross. Another ball put back towards the middle, and it will be played off Trevino, and here comes the Panther transition, the counter up the right side. I think that's Lorenzano who came off the bench. A good look for Adu, the touch, and what a transition back for Jack Hagstrom, Mike. A 90-yard sprint, in fact.
I'll tell you someone else who did a great job getting back that time. Justin O'Brien turned on the afterburners to get down the middle of the field to get back in position. Hagstrom right there with him. So nice job transitioning back from offense to defense by the Brown backs.
Trying to make out, is that Sugarman who stayed in on that far flank? I think it is. It's hard to see from this angle. I'm just going on the basis he wears the socks high.
Yeah.
Up the near side comes Pomeroy. Nice cutback by Fitzsimmons. Yeah, it is Sugarman who stayed in on the flank. He was the player who drew the foul that led to that last Brown free kick. Joyner turned over, middle of the field. Lozada, a good look for Cross on the left side. Cross working into the corner against Joyner. And we're going to see a Brown throw called.
Yeah, great speed by Cross to catch up with that pass, keep it in, and really nothing left to be done with it for the Panthers but knock it out of bounds. The Bears will certainly take it, although I'm sure they'd love to have Quinn and English in the game right now. Instead, it'll be Sugarman.
Making a run comes Pisek. Cross checks to the ball. Touch back for Sugarman. Has a little bit of room. Mix frees back Sugarman. Bears trying to stay on side. Pushed upfield. Making the run was Lozada. Headed down. Lee, the touch. Dances through and his play on called. Cutting back is Pomeroy and a nice stick by Zingas. They'll say Pomeroy was coming from an offside position. The AR's flag is up.
I think the frustrating thing for the Bears is that's pretty much similar to what the Panthers have been doing all night long in terms of flying in the air when there's contact like that. We've seen it a lot out of some of their English players, Fitzsimmons, Hemmings, and they've gotten those calls. So that time the Bears don't get it. Play continues, but certainly a little bit of frustration there for Brown.
So 6+ minutes gone here in the second half from a humid Stevenson-Pinsons. One thing we can say, no chance of showers and absolutely no wind at all. compared to last week when we were here. There was a couple of breezy afternoons. The women's game on Sunday morning in particular was a little breezy.
Yeah, really breezy on Sunday morning.
Women dropped a tough one yesterday, lost to Providence College 1-0, first loss of the season. They'll take on Lafayette tomorrow.
Yeah, it was the first goal they'd allowed too this season.
That's a foul.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting hit from both sides. Burmeister, again, when you extend that arm out, making it too obvious.
They got Cam Newton there, minus the head contact. They play it quickly for Pisek. Puts it across, not a bad idea, but knocked away by Summerfield. Nice step by O'Brien.
Again,
Burmeister stuck into him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a dangerous challenge by Burmeister as the player O'Brien was exposed.
Pomeroy, meanwhile, on the transition back upfield, centers for Lee, turns to Zingas. Two Bears out there on the flank. Zingas is going to distribute for Lozada. The cross is long, headed by Sugarman, is wide. That's one he's going to want back, Mike. He had a lot of net to work with.
He was wide open there on the far side. A well-timed run and just eluded all the Panthers there defensively, but unable to put it on frame.
You know what, I was impressed there, Mike. The patience from Zingas and Lozada, a couple players attacking off the flank, and we haven't seen that a lot.
Well, yeah, and Zingas played a perfectly weighted pass there that Lozada was able to step into and send that nice cross into the box.
Adu on the left side. 8 minutes gone in the half. The counter the other way. O'Brien whiffs the drive. The stick by Hagstrom. Saves what would have been a devastating blow to the near side. Cutting back is Hemmings. Dribbling around a couple of Bears. Tries to split them and does. Drives a shot. What a save by Hansen, but almost an even better display of footwork out of Max Hemmings. Wow.
First credit, one save to Jack Hagstrom, as there is at least 75% of the net open on the shot that he blocked. And then somehow Hemmings able to elude three defenders inside the 18. Got a very good strike on net. Hansen up to the task and very fortunate that it was Ala Rapé had overrun the play and the ball wound up behind him on the rebound.
And he was offside. They couldn't distribute to him because all the Bears had cheated to the ball. Hemmings in the zone. And, you know, I think one of the things you got to really address in that situation, the Bears didn't want to make contact because you don't want to give up a penalty kick in that spot. Quickly back the other way. Cross has Pomeroy is shoved off the ball, and there's the call. Much to the chagrin of Haig.
It's the right call, and Haig's frustrated because it was a little bit of a delayed call. I think that's because the official was waiting to see if there was going to be any advantage if the Bears were able to get to the loose ball when Cross was knocked down. It's going to give the Bears a restart about 35 yards out. And, of course, the Bears will take the opportunity to send the big boys up top. Hagstrom, Cross. And that'll put O'Brien and Zingas back there as the last line of defense. Sugarman will be on the kick.
Plays it on the ground for Pomeroy. Pomeroy turns, and Horn able to make the stop. I think he was expecting a touch maybe from Cross.
Yeah, I think that's what you're hoping for in that instance. You know, you're heading to the end line with full pace, have some guys crashing the net, but the ball just a little bit too much in front.
Mix off maybe a mishit there by Horn. Quickly ahead for Sugarman, deflects back to Lee. Man on his back, dances through traffic, and will touch all the way out to Zingas on the right side. Zingas ahead for Pomeroy, who's now on the flank. A tough touch, a little behind and high on Mix, who will track back with Hemmings, switching fields. Ala Rapé off the right side. 11 minute of the second half, working upfield. Sugarman, good closing speed, making a run with him for about 40 yards. Out to the right side, that's Lorenzano back for Hemmings. He'll play at the center, Haig. Looks around, surveys the scene. A good look for Ala Rapé. Ball came in a little hot. Tough bounce back. Sugarman is fouled.
Yeah, and you know, that one, if you're Ala Rapé, you do have to kind of shrug your shoulders. Like, what more could he do as he was trying to avoid the contact? He really could have led into Sugarman that time. So that one goes down as a little bit of a touch foul that probably could have gone uncalled.
They're going to move Pisek back and let Hansen kick it away. As he sets it up, fans, a reminder, you can watch the Ivy League Digital Network through the ILDN app on Apple TV and Roku. Purchase your subscription on your desktop, mobile, or tablet device and gain access to all live events and on-demand content. Enjoy ILDN on Apple TV and Roku on your big screen today. Big hit there from Hansen out toward the 18. Second ball, Pomeroy ahead, cross at the 6. The touchback, Lee for cross near side of the box. Looks to his right, Lee's offside. Cross will draw the first corner of the evening. Not by much, but it made it.
For either team.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's
hard to imagine. We've already played almost 60 minutes, and this will be the first corner. And again, that's where I guess the stats seem to lie, as this game has definitely generated more excitement than what we see. The total combined 7 shots on goal thus far. And this being the first corner.
The strike. Good ball. Kept alive. No, off, out of bounds, I think.
Yeah, a good little curler towards the far post, but just did cross that end line.
Yeah, O'Brien.
Flag immediately went up.
Was it O'Brien, I think? No. Nope, Lozada. They go to the same barber.
Yeah, we need more guys with the colored shoes, and then we could distinguish them a little easier.
Middle of the field. O'Brien lobs it ahead. Cross making a run on it. Joyner wins it. Second ball. Hemmings taken away, and he'll get it to Haig. He'll touch all the way back for Summerfield. The center back waiting for somebody to show for him, and he just boots it ahead, and Zingas is going to let it run. I almost wish we had David Walls on the field to translate what Summerfield just said. It was English, but it wasn't the English you and I speak.
Yeah, we can get a field mic and maybe have him join us by Skype. I know he takes in a lot of these games.
That one stays in bounds, allegedly. As Alarape, nice play by O'Brien. Turns, plays it upfield, over the head of Adu, and it comes back into play. Touch to center by Fitzsimmons and Haig for Hemmings. He'll come back to Fitzsimmons, the sophomore out of Liverpool. So he's listed at 5'6", and he looks bigger than that. Maybe not.
Well, and some of the heights and weights changed on what was online, what's in the program, so who knows?
What do you have him at? 5'9"? Yeah, that seems more like it. Oh, contact in the corner. Yeah, free kick for the Bears.
And again, they'll take their time. Looks like a couple of Bears warming up. Tyler Long quit English. I was just going to say, I wonder when we're going to see English get back in there. They've kind of missed him with some of his long throws and the speed that he possesses to help out on the attacking end.
And for whom? You know, I think
Cross has been out there for a while to start this half, so you might see him come out. You've seen great minutes out of Sugarman tonight, who's made a lot of kind of end-to-end runs. And, you know, if you take him out now with about 30 minutes, you would have the opportunity, should you want to get either of those guys back in.
Ball sent upfield. Chested down. Summerfield has some space. Look to his left there for a second as decides to go up the middle through Hemmings. Headed down Zingas for Mix. Big challenge is stepping up Cabe Fitzsimmons. And switched over to the far side. Lorenzano there. Ahead he comes for Haig. And the pace of this one has slowed to a crawl.
Well, yeah, you know, usually Georgia State's kind of attack all the time. This time, you know, they've connected at least 10 or 11 passes already now, just kind of playing keep away, keeping the Bears running around.
Hemmings, turn, Haig. They don't have really anywhere to go. I mean, the Bears are locked in pretty well. Here's Fitzsimmons and a nice stick. Pomeroy. It'll be sent upfield by Summerfield. We'll see if the Bears can take back the possession. Alarape met there by O'Brien, who follows him, swings it out to the right side. Lorenzano there for the Panthers, and a tough touch. Hansen comes off his line.
Yeah, the old zig instead of a zag. Burmeister not happy with Lorenzano that time, giving him the guy. But that works out for the Bears as Hansen able to step up and gobble it up.
Is that German for I wanted the ball?
Yeah.
That the only word you know in German?
Yeah.
That's okay, Mike. We won't hold that against you. Working left to right. Lee up to the left flank, was looking for Sugarman. Ball came in a little hot. Now goes all the way back. Goebel for Sugarman again. A tough look.
The last couple of minutes predominantly played in between the 18s as both teams just trying to play keep away, keep possession, trying to slowly build up their attacks.
You know, Mike, I think that is Pisek out there. I'm looking over. I see Goebel on the sideline. So
shows you what we know.
We were incorrect. Hard to make out the number on the front of the jersey for the Brown Bears. And Pisek's back has been obstructed for the second half, so we apologize for that error. It's giving him good minutes off the bench. Nice touch there, Zingis the interception. Ahead Pomeroy for Mix, past Lozada and turned over. And here's Hemmings. Ahead for Haig. Little touch for Burmeister, who'd come all the way back. He's run down by Lee, who comes up with the ball, and Burmeister looks at the official looking for a call.
Yep, good challenge that time from Lee getting back.
Off the face of Mix, Alarape comes away with the ball. Right to left, and now off to the right flank goes Alarape. Here's Lorenzano. Hemmings. And middle of the field is Summerfield. He looks back for Fitzsimmons, who wants to distribute, and goes to the middle again for Hemmings. Lozada looks a little gimpy, doesn't he? Or is he
I
just
think he
tired?
looks a little gassed. Sure, he's looking over, seeing those three subs.
I think Miles got to
Perhaps
be
wondering if one of them's coming in for him.
Well, he played 42 minutes in the first half, or at least 40. Ball played to center, and O'Brien knocks it away. It'll be a throw-in for the Panthers, and they're going to bring up the long throw they have from Fitzsimmons. Has not been a good last maybe 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes for the Bears.
Well, it's been fairly even, though. I mean, it's almost like both teams are just trying to catch their breath. Both playing a little bit more possession style than attacking style.
We'll see what the throw offers. It's a big throw. Comes toward the penalty stripe, settled down, knocked away. Sugarman turns back towards center and aways it out. Smart play. He looked like he did a good job of shielding. And here comes Pomeroy. And oh boy, that's a foul.
Yeah.
And that might be yellow justice.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a booking. At least we should. Is Pomeroy taken down hard.
That's got to be.
Yeah,
that's got to be a card. It's got to be a card. Yeah. Yellow card on Lucas Joyner the junior out of Macon, Georgia.
And he knew it.
Yeah.
He knew it, and that was the play he had to make. He knew that if he doesn't get there and do that, Pomeroy's off to the races.
Well, the head referee checked with the AR, who just looked at him and gave him, oh yeah, that's a yellow. It was a very short conversation.
Well, and right in front of Coach Laughlin in the Brown bench, too.
Fortunately, Pomeroy seems to be all right. Zingis will restart right in front of the aforementioned Brown bench as we enter the 20th minute of the second half.
And the Bears still looking to make a substitution when they can. Now Dean Bloombergen at the table to check in as well.
Quartet of Bears there. Zingis for Pomeroy, who has Zingis. A trio of Panthers there.
But nobody supporting him back, Mike, as Zingis had overrun it. Nobody was sliding over towards the touchline here to give him an option back. That's where he was looking. That's really the only place he could have played it. And then he got double teamed there and lost the ball.
Fitzsimmons is going to take the throw, and that'll get the Panthers out of harm's way for the most part, given his fortitude with the throw-in, taking his time. Big toss. Bounces over Zingis. Touched by O'Brien back upfield. Cross trying to line up underneath it. One in the air by one of the Panthers. Settled down Lozada for Pomeroy. Has Mix in the middle. Mix squares himself. It hits a body cross top of the 18. Touches back, and Mix was just a touch out of position.
Probably didn't realize how much space he had to work with there, too, at the top of the box. Nobody within a couple of yards of him. Instead, rushed the shot a little bit. And the Bears will finally get to make their changes.
Lots of changes as it looks like Lozada, Mix, Sugarman, and Cross check off. Long, Blombergen, Mile, and English are on for head coach Pat Laughlin. Pomeroy switches up top. Blombergen will play in the middle with Long and English occupying the flanks. Mile also obviously playing in the interior of the midfield with Lee and Blombergen.
And now I think we'll really get to see what kind of fitness level this Georgia State back line is at. There's a whole host of new players for them to contend with here, some who haven't seen any action here tonight.
And a whoopsie on the far side as Alarape falls down. And again, Georgia State has gone just 2 players deep and no subs here in the second half.
Yep,
that's a handball in the midfield called against Georgia State. 21 minutes gone, we'll reset it. All the scoring came in the first half. In fact, pretty much the first half of the first half. 2 minutes in, the goal from Hans Burmeister. The Bears answered about 20 minutes later with Nico Lozada assisted by Quinn English. Restart for the Bears. Jason Pisek on that far flank. Knocks it upfield. Off the head of Lee. English charging towards it, and Adu sends it out. Nice play there by Zingas to get a touch to it. Burmeister. Nice challenge by Zingas, and Burmeister shaking it off as he bumped into the right arm of Zingas. Good transition here. Meanwhile, Lorenzano on the far side. Alarape picked up by Long. Here comes the double. Play towards center. Lorenzano. Nice slide from the Bears. That's offside, I thought.
No, but if it's played off the defender, you're not offside.
That's right. Good call. Off of Mile. And now the sub for Georgia State. They'll get Casey Schultes on. He started the match. And looks like Tristan Trevino hasn't had a ton of touches.
He's been like invisible out there.
Yeah, he
really hasn't been involved for as much time as he's been on the field.
It's the first time he's left the field, in fact, Trevino, as we're about at the midpoint of half number 2. Here comes the long throw, of course, with Fitzsimmons working upfield.
And with him cheating up, the Bears could have an opportunity for a quick counter strike.
He throws
it.
Here we
go. Let's see if Hansen can take advantage.
He's going to wait. He thought about it. Now he's going to deliver. The big booming punt sends Long off to the races. Lorenzano had tracked back. He has a player holding on to him. Lorenzano is hanging on to to Long. Good ball looking for Blomberg, and it was a little bit behind him. Lee intercepts. Working, dances through traffic. Cuts back to his right. Gets the ball to Zingas. Looks to distribute. It's a good ball idea off to the far side. English on his horse, chasing back. It'll be awayed by the D, and here comes Georgia State in transition. Out ahead for Alarape. O'Brien, a nice step. Works to Pomeroy.
Nobody showing there on the near side, though.
Haig gives Pomeroy a little handsy grabby. Pomeroy was on his way down, and Haig had some choice words there, and the official says, that's it. You know, I understand what you're saying, and I don't like it.
Well, every call that goes against him, he's giving gestures, and I'm sure certain select words.
The referee did not like the Bears' restart, and he said to Pisek, you know, I'm admonishing.
He said, wait for the whistle.
Yep.
And
that's fair.
Bears trying to move a little quicker.
In that particular moment, I can't disagree with him. Bears with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brown and white jerseys around the top of the 18. Pisek to distribute, puts it up. Looked like he was looking for Blomberg, and Lee ball stops, turns it back to the other side. Lorenzano, a nice win by Alarape, and all the way back goes Pisek for Hansen.
Yeah, it was almost like Lee got caught in that. Do I shoot it? Do I pass it? Do I cross it? And it wound up being
none of the
above. Little mishit.
Pomeroy for Blombergen, who gets a touch to it for Mile, I believe, and now left side Pisek. Long, a nice touch for Pomeroy, has Blombergen making the run, gives it to him on the left side, looks to cut back, serves it in front for Lee, a good look. Pomeroy with a foot to it. Pomeroy looking to square off for English. English back in front. Here comes Lee with just a little bit, and behind him was the play. And it'll be played up and out. Burmeister, who had to come all the way back, looking to his right, distributes, and it's turned over. Mile for Long. Heads it back, Blombergen. Room in the middle of the field. Kind of a miss hit. English is going to bring it back down to feet where it belongs. Keeps it on the carpet right side for Zingas. And English worked the 1-2. Ball stays inbounds. Nope, it's going to run. And, of course, with Fitzsimmons, that means an opportunity to clear for the Panthers. And they're going to slow things up. As you mentioned, Mike, this back line has been under duress since the changes.
Yeah, you could really see them a little bit kind of hands on heads, hands on hips a little bit when the ball's out of play, trying to just regroup.
Hemmings looking to the right side. A good look ahead for Schultes, who's watched by Pisek, middle of the field. Alarape to the right side for Lorenzano. And now Hemmings. It's been dangerous. Cuts back on Pisek. A good rip and just wide.
You know, too many easy touches there for the Panthers. There's no one really stepping too many clean touches. And it nearly was a disaster for the Bears as Hemmings did not miss by much.
Jackson Goebel in and Jason Pisek off with about 19 to play here in half number 2. Good minutes from Pisek, both at the tail end of the first half and the first 26-odd minutes of this second half. Well, actually, 26 minutes on the dot. Nice win in the air by Adu. O'Brien. And up ahead at Cubs.
That's dangerous. Alarape
Underneath
undercutting
Hagstrom.
Hagstrom.
And he's going to get the obligatory stern talking to. That's the old, this is my last warning for you.
Yeah, well, you know, first it was Haig about a minute and a half ago. Now Alarape. You know, those are dangerous challenges. And the guys in the air, you're kind of undercutting them when they're in exposed position.
Hansen's going to send it skyward toward the corner. And that's a nice sell by Liam Fitzsimmons.
Again, Fitzsimmons is the master. I mean, he must be a theater major, Mike. He has been outstanding. He's okay. He's okay.
Is that warranted?
I think they heard that the Superman building is nearby, so he's trying to give his best imitation out there, flying around.
Up and away, huh?
Ref though buying it every
single time. Second ball, Burmeister was looking for the hands in the back. And out of bounds is Blombergen flopped.
Yeah. Got to sell it a little bit better than that.
Zingas, the big throw. Pomeroy for Blombergen. And they're going to get Pomeroy for hands in the back of Fitzsimmons again.
And again, because any contact he feels, he's just diving around, flopping around. And he's a sturdy guy. I mean, I'm sorry, but a little finger touch like that is not going to send him.
Stop it. Again, we need that green screen. We could be demonstrating this at the breaks. We'd be showing you exactly. The world wants to see Mike Rubin undercut Mike Mancuso. That would be a heck of a YouTube highlight on the Ivy League Digital Network. I know you're feisty, Mike, but I can undercut with the best of them. I'd stay away from your shoulder though. I promise.
Then I won't take out your knee.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're old. They're going to reset things here for a goal kick with the score 1-1. Under 17 to play. Georgia State has registered officially 5 shots on goal. I think 2 of them here in the second half. Bears with just a couple of shots on goal. I don't know if they have any here in the second half. Maybe 1. No, I don't think they have any.
Well, I think they only had the 1 in the first half.
And it went in. Yeah, you're right.
Play continuing after a lot of interesting contact.
Goebel sends it upfield. A deflection back. Here comes Horn, and he has nowhere to go but out to the rowdy section. And a throw in coming for the Bears. Goebel to take it right about at midfield. Ahead it comes for Pomeroy. Little touch from Mile. Tough look for Pomeroy. They ran out of real estate on the far side. Bears getting Mix off the bench. Then change for Georgia State as it looks like Jad El Khalil comes in, the junior out of Beirut, Lebanon, by way of Marietta, Georgia. And Alarape checks off. El Khalil, a junior, 6 foot.
Yeah, had 5 goals last season.
Yeah, I was about to say, has a goal and a couple of assists off the bench this year. Nope, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Alarape. He has an assist this year. Wrong guy. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
1 assist, 4 shots.
Here's Lee with space, looks to his right, feeds English. English off the flank, good look, over the head along, and just over Nate Pomeroy. Blomberg had tried to track it down on the left side. Turns back, distributes for Goebel. Goebel, Lee, and now Mile, middle of the pitch, has space. Turns it to the right side, over the head of English.
They're certainly creating chances here in the second half. That was a well-placed ball into the 18 by English, but just happened to elude all three players inside the box.
Interesting factoid here for Georgia State. This is their 5th match of the year. 3rd match against a team called the Bears.
That is pretty strange.
Yeah, Mercer's the Bears, and their 2nd straight, Central Arkansas, are the Bears. Central Arkansas's women's teams are the Sugar Bears, so not sure how that's okay, but it is.
O'Brien needs to play that a little bit quicker as El Halil coming in with some pace there.
Under 14 to play. Here's Zingas, a tough touch off the back of English. El Halil on the ball. Intercepted there by Blombergen. Pomeroy, the 1-2, has Long on the left side. Bears had numbers. Long, top of the 18, cuts back, drives a shot, and just over the iron. Oh, that's one Tyler Long might want back. What a rip.
Oh, brilliant strike there from Long, just over the upper 90 there. Had the goaltender Yannick Horn beat. Well-developed attack by the Bears.
Trying to get these fans back into some life here at Stevenson-Pidsons. Slipping on the far side, I think that's Lorenzano, who's given great minutes off the bench for the Panthers.
Always seems to be open.
Yes. Good cross, and off of El Khalil. No, they'll say it's off Hagstrom, and Georgia State will have its first corner of the day as Amiri Abraham, the senior who started the match and was very involved in the first half, will check back in for Coach Surrency. Off comes Kwaku Adu. So stepping over to take the corner will be Fitzsimmons. So the Bears get a quick counter. At least the histrionics will be not part of it.
Oh, he'll find a way.
We'll see. Been looking to get that word in all day. Here's the corner. Good look. One in the air by the Bears. Zingas got a piece of it. Touch back over to the far side. The turn by Burmeister. Nice stick by Pomeroy, who was all the way back. Long on his man as it comes back to Fitzsimmons, who feeds it through. Burmeister toward the end line, the touch back, more moves it towards center, the shot, the save by Hansen, who went down and drilled it away.
Close call there for the Bears. Bears thought there might have been an offsides, but it was a well-timed run by Burmeister. Good save by Hansen.
I was watching a couple of these Panthers. They're tired. I mean, it has been a grinded out second half. It has not gotten any cooler out there, folks.
Yeah,
still very humid.
There was a little bit of a lull there about midway through this half, but since then, both teams.
Oh, nice touch, Mile for Long. It's a Wade. English has contact, and that's a dangerous tackle. Oh, wow. Mix went down, gets back up, and Goebel's on the ball.
Yeah, a dangerous tackle before that jersey tug on English.
Here's Blombergen. Has Pomeroy making a run. Good track back by Abraham. O'Brien will come to Zingas on the right side as we're down to about 11 left here in the second half. Zingas ahead for Pomeroy. Good look. Zingas cuts back on Abraham. Puts it across and right on the hands of Horn. Think he was looking for the backside cut by English, and a good throw by Horn to free it out Burmeister. And here come the Panthers.
Shame, such a good counterattack. And then the final touch, though, not the touch that Louis Zingas was looking for.
Nice look by Goebel to the middle of the field, but it was empty. And it'll be played back upfield. Fitzsimmons, a good look. Burmeister on that right. Check that. Schultes on the right side. Running with him, Burmeister and El Khalil. Schultes wants the shot. Showing to him came Mix. The shot comes back the other way. Hansen had it read well. And the Bears are going to make a change on this goal kick. And we'll tell you as they bring in Will Cross. All you Ivy League fans out there, remember you can watch the Ivy League Digital Network across a variety of platforms, including desktop, mobile, tablet, and the recently released ILDN app on Apple TV and Roku. Take advantage of everything the Ancient Eight has to offer, including over 1,000 live events and on-demand content across all 9 channels with your ILDN subscription.
Strong minutes there, of course, out of Nate Pomeroy, one of the co-captains. Will Cross coming back into the match after about a 20-minute break or so.
Inside 10 to play here from Stevenson-Pinson's Field. Those of you wondering, the name of the field, of course, changed at the end of last year. Cliff Stevenson had his name on this field as in the late 80s, I think they put it on and then last year with the retirement of 39-year head coach of the women's team, Phil Pinson's, Zingas. It looked like a handball.
Yeah, he caught that right in front of the official.
Hemmings comes back to Abraham on the left side. Zingas meets him and comes away with the ball. He'll send it upfield. Fitzsimmons is tracking back. It's going to run for a throw. He'll take it quickly, tosses it for Haig. Joyner all the way back for Horn, who sends it out to the flank for, again, the always open Lorenzano. Works against Mile toward the end line. Good transition off his line. Ball's in front and bailed it out, did O'Brien, as there was contact with Hansen. He never came up with the ball.
Yeah, Burmeister challenging inside the 6 that time. Hansen got a piece of it.
Ooh, the ball just missed El Khalil. It comes out to Hemmings. It's been good minutes these last couple as the Panthers have been threatening, have come up empty, of course. So too did the Bears on Tyler Long's bid just a couple of minutes ago. Maybe about 4 minutes ago now for Long's bid that went just over the crossbar. Burmeister, very dangerous, has a goal in this one, now 7 on the season. Gives it to Schultes. The cross is stuck by Goebel. Played to center, here comes Blombergen, intercepts. Bears on the run, 3-on-3. They have English making a run on the right side. Blombergen, middle of the field. Here comes Haig. Gives it up to the right side for English. The touch to the middle for Mix. Looks back to English. Good transition defense there out of the Panthers. Here comes English stepping over the ball. Almost stepped himself out. Nicely played by Hemmings and stuck there by English out of bounds. Tough break for the Bears, Mike.
Yeah, English just too many moves there as he was trying to get around Hemmings, and Hemmings did a nice job, even though he was on the ground, able to clear it.
English got caught, I think, in a moment of indecision. He wasn't sure, I think, who to distribute and was trying to buy himself some time.
And Hemmings did a nice job of not falling for any of the fakes. Usually he gets the defender to bite on one of those.
Nice work by Mile. Touch back towards center. Can Cross get there? He does for Long. Long winds up and just wide again for Tyler Long.
Oh, twice he's had the potential game winner on his foot. Wasn't sure at first if maybe Yannick Horn got a piece of it. They're going to say no. But a missed touch there by Fitzsimmons. Nearly a disaster for Georgia State. Long and the Bears just couldn't make them pay all the way. So Matt Chow checks back in now for Brown. Blombergen will head back to the bench. Good minutes out of Blombergen, his first appearance of the season.
Played in a couple of different spots too, Mike. You know, I think we saw him on the interior, the exterior of the flank of the midfield. That ball's out of bounds. It should be a Brown throw, and it will be with about 6 left as we head into crunch time here in this second half. English, Cross, looks to cut back on the double team. Finds English, who will work against Fitzsimmons. Cuts back. Nice play by Abraham to split the two. And Fitzsimmons just able to keep it alive. The AR says it never went out of bounds despite the lobbying of the Brown bench. Goebel on the left side. Sends it up looking for Cross. Long. Works against Lorenzano. And out of bounds. Goebel will take the throw. Boy, a couple of great bids for Tyler Long in this second half, both missing by maybe a combined 5 feet total, if that. And we'll get a call against James Mile on that far side.
Yeah, not a bad idea to stall out the attack there on the other side of midfield.
Fitzsimmons, middle of the field, down to 5 minutes left here in the second half. El Khalil stuck there by Mix, middle of the field, Abraham. Touch to the right. Lorenzano, the cross, a great ball right across the 6. Burmeister is going to track it down. He'll be marked by Zingas. Plays it to the middle for Haig, who has room. Good ball toward the edge of the 6. It's out of bounds. And a goal kick coming out. Bears got, looks like they're making a motion to make sure Pomeroy's got himself enough of a rest, as we've got inside 4.5. Again, you do have re-entry once in the second half. I think they reset for the overtime.
Yep.
You're allowed to come off and on once. I believe it's once per overtime. I think if you come off in the first overtime, you can come back in if there is a second overtime.
Right.
Presuming there is an overtime. Out ahead, Hagstrom for Long, and now here's Chow. Chow had the first touch get away from him. Mix for Mile, looking for English. Airmails it a bit, and it's over his head. Bears need to keep it on the ground, Mike.
Yeah, that was unfortunate there. It was the right idea by Mile, trying to switch the point of attack. Had English with some good space, but
what a throw.
As you said, airmailed it.
Abraham, Zingas measures between a couple of Panthers. Beaten to it is Haig. And now here's El Khalil on the near side working against Zingas. They go shoulder to shoulder. Near side of the box has Abraham working with him. Puts it across. Good look. Here comes Goebel and heads it away. Up goes Zingas. Big collision with Haig on the 50-50 ball. Miles sits it out. El Khalil nutmegs the referee. And out it comes to the right side for Lorenzano, who will send one toward Abraham, who got up between a couple of Bears, heads it wide, and it's still between the stripes. Goebel on it for Brown. Out ahead it comes for Cross, looks to turn on Joyner, works up the far side, gets a little bit of speed around Joyner, and then has to slow things up, waits for support, and dropping all the way back had come Haig. Nice step there by Mile, who works against Haig, telegraphs it a little bit, and touches back. Hemmings near side for Abraham. Battles in the midfield have been really solid, Mike.
Yeah, it's been good from both sides, Mike. And, you know, neither one of these teams playing for overtime. These two teams.
No, they want to end this.
They want to end this in 90.
Ahead it comes for Burmeister. Let's hope you're not a harbinger of things to come from the Panthers side, who have been really pressing these last 4 or 5 minutes. Nice stick by Goebel out ahead for Long.
If anything, you know, they've been pressing with some of their backs as well. Opportunities could present themselves to the Bears on the counter. Players like Haig, Hemmings, they've been stepping up quite a bit. A little bit fresher legs out there for the Bears. Long, Chow, English.
We're under 2. Here comes a throw from Goebel. Nice play by Cross. Out it comes to that far side. Trying to turn was Chow. Loses his footing, and they're going to get Haig for pulling his jersey, or they're going to get Chow for pulling the jersey. They should. I didn't think it was against Haig.
Goes against Chow with about 95 seconds.
Make it a minute and a half. They'll put the ball down. They'll bring up Fitzsimmons.
Now they'll stop the clock.
Now Long touched it. I think if he had just left it, they might have just let it run.
I don't know why he felt the need to do that. Actually, lucky he probably didn't get carded.
I agree.
If Georgia State had been in more of a hurry.
Here's the restart. It comes toward the 6. Hagstrom wins it in the air. Goebel trying to track it down, gets a foot on it around Burmeister, and English will just knock it downfield. Smart play. Tracked back by Summerfield. Has Lorenzano, who's now open on the near side. To the left side, Abraham. Working against Zingas. Cuts back towards center, frees himself up, drives a nice shot in on the hands of Eric Hansen, who followed it all the way into his gloves.
Yeah, and a very important catch there by Hansen, not allowing any type of rebound. Very short-handed save there.
So the big punt from Hansen, no miss hit on that one. Well up, and Haig the second ball. Parabola's down off the shoulder of El Khalil. Chow bumped off by Haig, and it'll be a Brown throw. Down to about 30 seconds left. Bears are going to put the ball in the hands of English. for this throw-in. They're going to send Chow toward the corner. He'll look to distribute. Inside 25 seconds, Chow dancing back, a nice stick. And a Wade. It comes off a back. Mile with some space. Swings it over to the left. Bears were able to stay and reset onside. Cross with now 10 seconds left. His shot is blocked by Lorenzano. He'll work through the midfield, and El Khalil with the ball, and we are going to see some bonus soccer here, folks. Overtime coming from Stevenson Pinsent's Field as the teams play 45 scoreless minutes here in the second half, and they got to water up in a hurry, Mike. They get about a 5-minute rest.
Yeah, and certainly opportunities for both clubs there to end this one in regulation, but a couple misses by the Bears that didn't miss the mark by much, and a couple good saves by Hansen. Keep this one deadlocked at 1.
We'll step aside with the score 1-1, Brown and Georgia State. Opening round of this Capital City Classic, and we've got ourselves a classic. We'll be right back with overtime from Stevenson Pinsents. So we've seen lots of bonus soccer over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and those watching along on the Ivy League Digital Network have certainly seen a lot of those contests as well. But, it's an opportunity now for the Bears to get a good result against a quality side. It's been a good game so far. We're hoping the Bears could end this one in style and hopefully with a W.
Well, an interesting decision here for head coach Pat Laughlin. The back line remains the same, but it appears that Dean Blombergen, Quinn English, looks like Joseph Lee, and Quinn English. So a little bit of a different combination in the match.
Well, at this
for the
point,
Bears.
yeah, you got to manage guys, between fitness levels, hydration levels, just how tired their legs are. Not the easiest right now.
And on the other side, Ironman Soccer from Georgia State.
Yeah, I mean, they've made very limited substitutions so far today, and it's been actually quite impressive in how how many minutes this, especially in the back line. I mean, they've been under duress quite a bit, and some of them are starting to show some signs of fatigue, but overall, they've held up quite well.
Higgs has not come off the field. Fitzsimmons has not come off the field. Hemmings has not come off the field. Joyner has not come off the field. And Burmeister hasn't come off the field. Now, Alarape comes back on, as does Kwaku Adu, which means Abraham is off and El Khalil is off. And across town, 81st minute, Providence College taking care of business against SMU. That one a 1-0 lead for the Friars. So SMU trying to rally. Bears are going to attack left to right here in this first overtime, So looks like it's Pomeroy, English, Blombergen, Chow, Lee, Mile, and then the back line left to right is Goebel, Hagstrom, O'Brien, and Zingas.
Right, and it is sudden victory, golden goal opportunity.
Watch out. They'll say it was tipped by a Bear. I don't know how.
Might have been.
You think?
It took a slight deflection.
You think?
Yeah, it was close.
Well, Fitzsimmons will load up the long throw. And it is a long throw indeed. Second ball off of the head of Mile. Now, it looks like they've pushed Abraham to the far side, in fact, so I think Lorenzano has been taken out.
Yeah,
he's up top.
Okay, so they've moved him.
They've moved guys all around.
Yep.
So it looks actually like Schultes is off. Ball played back. Horn will send it and keeps it between the stripes. Impressive ball. Lee in the middle of the field. Blombergen shoves aside Haig. Comes away with the ball off the difficult challenge and over for Goebel, who will loop it upfield for Chow. Chow has a couple of blue jerseys around him. Looks to switch. Here comes English. Good closing speed, but Fitzsimmons is there. Second ball, Lee. Third ball for Pomeroy. Turns, drives, and just wide again. And boy, it looked like Horn was late getting down, Mike.
Yeah, well, Horn also, at least he'll probably tell you, he had good command of his area there and knew that was wide, but that did not miss by much as he kind of pulled back his arm at the last second.
And he's waiting for his mates to reset things. Here is the netminder of the Panthers. Sends that way up. Middle of the field, Lee has space. Closing is Burmeister.
He's got to get rid of that quicker head. English making a run on the near side with plenty of space to work with.
Well, here's Burmeister. A good look for Alarape. Good track back by Zingis, who will touch it out of bounds, but that's as good as a corner for Georgia State.
Yep, as Fitzsimmons will make that little jog up the field once again. This one about 15 yards off the end. Oh, a little bit further, I guess. Maybe about
maybe 5
or 7 yards off the corner flag there for the throw.
Big throw comes toward the penalty stripe. Hagstrom the win out to Fitzsimmons, who looks to cross, pushes it up off the face, I think, of Chow.
Yeah, but what a jump there by Alarape. Really getting up there, but just eluding him.
The vertical leap of a young Mike Mancuso there. I was impressed. Good closing speed from Blobergen, but it's out of bounds for a Panther throw. Up steps Joyner to take it. Over the head of Goebel. Alarape against Mile, who comes away with the ball. Smooth play from Mile. Outlets, Haig is there. Stepping back to the ball came English. And on it, it comes to the right side for Adu. That's a handball.
Yeah, that's clearly played with his arm.
The referee did not want to call. I mean, he, I think, has fairly put the whistle away lately, and the AR told him you got to call that one.
And Adu stepping in front of Zingis as he was trying to play it quickly.
Zingis up and away. Lee, Blobergen. There's Haig and Lee. Nice juggle there by Haig. Lee fights it back. Zingis for O'Brien. Back for Zingis. Ahead for Lee. Boy, they are harassing these Bears, are this midfield of the Panthers. Hagstrom, haven't called his name a lot, which may not be a bad thing. Out ahead, it comes Mile from Goebel, and he'll switch it back to O'Brien as we're nearing the midpoint of the first overtime. Right side, Zingis has Blobergen making a run for him, has to cut back, puts it to his left, puts it across, no one there, over the head of Lee from Zingis. Bouncing ball, Chow had sat back, and now Joyner transitions, loops it in the air. Goebel is there. Second ball ahead for Chow. He'll bring it down to feet, can't get there as Abraham off on the right for Lorenzano. I've given up on trying to figure out this formation, Mike. They have guys everywhere.
They're mixing and matching, overlapping runs, and guys that are able to support back and occupy that space.
Adu, and now Fitzsimmons. He'll switch fields for Joyner, who settles, has Pomeroy approaching. Ahead it's played, a tough touch, ends up on the foot of Lee, who jumps forward. Alarape there. Blobergen touches O'Brien for Lee. He gets it ahead for Pomeroy. He'll settle, looks to the right side, or left side rather. Blobergen wants to feed it through Chow. He's going to keep it himself. Works back towards center. I don't know if anybody told him there was a man there. Pomeroy around Haig for Blobergen. Out to the left for Chow. Bears trying to attack. Chow on the left side of the box. Works in front, is upended by Joyner, and the penalty kick. Chow is just dumped by Joyner. And I'm watching the coaching staff. You can watch the reaction of the field, but Brett Sorensen walking away. He knows it's the right call.
He knows it. He knows that, they allowed Chow to get inside deep. He was working his magic, split the D, and Joyner upended him. I mean, that's a clear foul inside the 18.
Fitzsimmons displeased, and as are a couple of the Panthers. And he's going to his pocket. Is he going to his pocket? No, he's not. I'm going to be quiet. So who takes the penalty kick? It looks like
Chow is, I don't know, self-appointed himself or what, but he's held on to that ball.
Well, coming over to give him a chat.
That should be a card. You shouldn't be able to come and start messing with a guy like that. That's
unless Summerfield's is he apologizing?
That's Hemmings. No, it's Hemmings. It's gamesmanship. But
you don't like it.
I'm sure he's still chirping there.
So Chow lines up the PK with 3 minutes left here. The clock's still running. I thought it was supposed to stop.
It is supposed to be stopped, but I don't know why they haven't. It's an automatic stop.
The whistle, the finish, and the score! Matthew Chow, the PK, and the Bears with an overtime victory over Georgia State to remain unbeaten.
Well, Mike, the Bears certainly earned that one after giving up a goal in the second minute of the game, battling back for the equalizer and holding a very potent Georgia State attack at bay for the remainder of the game. Eric Hansen finishes the day with 6 saves. Matthew Chow, the hero tonight, a penalty kick goal in the 97th minute in overtime.
Mike, the reaction I'm watching, I mean, this had the feel of what you would say is a true friendly. There's a lot of respect out there. I mean, even after the Bears had won the game, I was watching the handshakes. Sometimes you see, I mean, certainly in league play, there's so much acrimony on the field sometimes. This was a battle, and these two teams respect each other. And, you know, despite Georgia State's loss, I am very impressed by both the Panthers' game and their composure with the Bears.
Yes, apparently not with the officials, though, as Ala Rapé is giving it to one of the ARs and has to be pulled aside by both Yannick Horn and Liam Fitzsimmons. Obviously, a lot of frustration there. Some of the security personnel now surrounding the officials. But you're right, the respect between the two teams, Mike.
Yeah, the two teams
was outstanding.
And we want to give credit where credit is due for sure. I mean, this was a battle.
It was. And I mean, as much as you hate to see games end with a PK like that sometimes, you know, when it's an obvious foul, the referee has to make that call.
And I had just finished saying that he hadn't had to make anything,
right,
but he had let them play for a while.
Right. I mean, but that was
egregious.
A clear foul, and, you know, as it's not supposed to matter when it occurs. If it happens to be in overtime, that's when it happens. And fortunately for the Bears, Matt Chow able to come through and just drill that kick into the back of the net and give the Bears the 2-1 win.